preface this video by saying that I think rape is a terrible crime. It is a brutal, horrific crime, and I believe that there should be severe penalties for committing it. And you know what? Everyone else feels the exact same way. Everyone the world over thinks that rape is a terrible crime. The only rape cultures that exist are in certain African nations, where civilization is completely broken down, and drug-addled child soldiers run around cutting off people's arms with machetes. Quite frankly, in places like that, it's just as bad being a man as it is being a woman, since you're more likely to be killed, and you might just get raped too. And feminists, being killed is worse than being raped. How do I know? Because the great majority of rape victims don't commit suicide. Well, I can't entirely write off the existence of any sort of rape culture in first world countries, but not in the way that feminists think. More on that later. In our modern first world nations, where our culture is largely run by feminists or their ideological supporters, rape is more than just a terrible crime. It's a crime which is elevated to a ridiculous level of importance. Like some religious doctrine, which cannot be examined objectively without fear of committing blasphemy. Once the sacred word of rape is invoked, no thought or discussion is allowed. No reasoning is permitted. You must react in only the ways permitted by the feminist clergy of this strange pseudo-religion. The effects of this dogmatic view of rape are plain to see. To a feminist, and unfortunately the millions who allow themselves to be identified or influenced by them, the act of accusing a person of rape is a likewise sacred act. The crime of rape is so heinous that all due process of law must be put aside, so that the accused has no chance of escaping justice. The accuser must automatically be believed without waiting to collect evidence or weigh the facts. You see, the idea that any rape accusation could be false is blasphemy in this religion. In our modern-day witch trials, the only person who would defend an accused witch must also be a witch. You see this reasoning whenever a feminist throws around accusations of rape supporter, when someone wants to follow due process of law instead of summarily convicting someone with no trial. Another major dogma of this rape religion is the belief that no action on the part of a female rape victim ever leads to rape, increases the chances of her getting raped, or prevents her from being raped. Even acknowledging the fact that a woman could do anything to increase or decrease her chances of being raped is blasphemy. It's blaming the victim. This is strange because we don't seem to apply this to any other crime. When someone leaves their car unlocked and something gets stolen from it, we have no problem with admitting that it was unwise to leave the doors unlocked. But at the same time, no one thinks that leaving your doors unlocked makes you deserving of theft, or that the thief is not still a thief. We should tell anyone, male or female, to be careful going out at night in a bad neighborhood, yet this isn't considered to be victim blaming of people who get mugged. Likewise, it's no crime to say that mountain climbers are more likely to fall to their death. It certainly doesn't imply that we think that mountain climbers deserve to die, so why the big exception with rape? It certainly seems like common sense that women's behavior can put themselves in greater risk of being raped. I mean, going to parties with guys they don't know, getting drunk, being flirtatious, maybe creating the appearance that they might want to have sex when they don't actually intend to. I don't know how much, if at all, any of these factors influence a woman's chances of getting raped. I'll probably never learn what behaviors put someone at an increased risk, because any sort of real study to get information like this would be villainized as blaming the victim, even though such information may actually prevent rapes. Also, regarding the idea of blaming the victim or asking for it, I have never heard of any first world person say that a woman deserved to be raped because she was promiscuous. I've never heard any first world person say that a rapist was any less culpable because the victim was scantily clad. Sure, some people might say that a woman foolishly put herself at risk, or put herself in danger by the way she dressed or where she went, but that's a far cry from saying that she deserved it or that the perpetrator, shouldn't be punished. The victim-blaming accusation is just a straw man to demonize anyone who seems to have wavering faith in the rape cult that feminists push in our society. Several years ago, when I was just getting interested in issues relating to feminism, and I was learning about how bad feminism really is, I got into a debate online with a number of feminists. There was a discussion of rape epidemics in certain parts of the world, And I have advocated that women should carry concealed handguns for self-defense. Um, and I was viciously attacked by feminists. They said that I was blaming the victim. They said that to suggest that a woman take some action to make themselves safer is to suggest that it's a woman's responsibility to prevent rape, and would be therefore blaming unarmed rape victims. Really. Would I also be blaming male victims of crime for suggesting that men use guns for self-defense as well? How can anyone argue with such insanity? Now, I can't say that no one in a first world nation in the modern era has ever said the rape victim deserved it, or that there should be no punishment for raping a promiscuous woman. If there's any ludicrous or offensive idea possible, there is probably at least one person on earth who has advocated it. But if you have evidence for any notable public figure, law enforcement agent, judge, or any noteworthy person expressing such a sentiment, please provide me with evidence if you wish, but no anecdotal accounts. The way I see it, our high priestesses of this religion are the feminists who use their influence to push this religion of theirs into law, entertainment, education, and into the daily lives of everyone. And like some evangelical televangelists who use their religion to get wealthy while having gay lovers on the side, these feminists are total hypocrites, using rape as a tool to further their true agenda, misandry. You see, if the feminists truly saw rape as a terrible crime, and they cared for the victims, they would be the ones to most strongly oppose false accusations of rape. They would also fervently oppose any frivolous use of the word rape to describe other sorts of acts. We see that in reality, feminists are the ones who are pushing to expand the definition of rape to include all sorts of things, most of which would never be considered rape by any reasonable person. This is a bait and switch of sorts. We have a society where rape is obsessed over as the worst imaginable crime, where we have this image in our minds of what a rape is and where a victim is brutally traumatized. Yet feminists want to extend this same reaction to virtually all forms of male sexuality. Feminists say that if a woman consents while intoxicated, that is rape, even if the man is also intoxicated. Feminists say that if a woman regrets having sex with a man, that is rape. Feminists say that if a woman is nagged into sex, she has been raped. Feminists want almost everything to be considered rape, and a few feminists will even be honest enough to say that they consider all men to be rapists, and all heterosexual sex to be rape. What about gay male sex? Well, as I mentioned in my video about objectification, feminists don't like to think too much about gay men. So this reveals the true motivation of the rape obsession, the hatred of men. Rape is perceived as a crime where women are exclusively the victims, and men are exclusively the perpetrators. Just like in ancient Rome, where any action of a slave against a master was a terrible crime, worthy of a painful death, in first world nations we also react with greater hostility when a man victimizes a woman. Second-class citizens aren't supposed to commit crimes against first-class citizens. Feminists eventually realized that their demonization of rape was so successful that they could associate it with not only rapists, but with all men, thus striking out at the object of their hatred. Now, the topic of all rapists being men and all the victims being women leads me back to something I mentioned at the beginning of the video. There is one sort of rape culture that does exist in first world countries, and it is condoned and even applauded. That is the huge numbers of rape that occur within prisons, where the victims are male. Often these victims of rape did nothing more than use drugs, a victimless crime, and their punishment is to be placed into a system with hardened criminals to be assaulted or raped while the authorities look the other way, and society laughs at their misfortune. You see, when men get raped, it is an unholy act of villainy. It's funny. It's a barrel of laughs. Ha ha ha. Once again, I would like to thank the generous people who have helped to support my channel, such as Jared, Soulbooks, and William. Thank you so much for everything you've done for me and all the support of the fans. I really appreciate it. Until next time.